Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all joining to this edition of Apex Servers from across the globe. This is Manoj Nambarajan, and today I get the privilege to walk you through on security center product of Salesforce. As we all know, of late, security has been a very critical aspect these days across industry, and the effort that Salesforce has been putting on this front is very commendable. So at the end of this session, I hope after the walkthrough on Salesforce Security Center product, you will get a gist of what you can do with Salesforce Security Center product for your respective needs. So to introduce myself, I am an enterprise architect at Dell Technologies with 15 plus years of experience on Salesforce ecosystem. I am also proudly part of Salesforce MVP class of 2022. I'm a Salesforce certified application architect as well as system architect with 18 Salesforce certification and a 5-star Trailhead Ranger. I'm also among the top 12 answer leader in the Trailhead answer community, a journey which has helped me to contribute almost 1,000 plus best answers till date. And I'm also a blogger where I get a chance to share my experience on all the learnings that I have gone through on the Salesforce ecosystem. So that's my personal blog, which is there in this slide, as well as I'm a contributor to salesforcemaximizer.com and Salesforce knowledge articles. So let's start with today's agenda, where I'll be walking you through the evolution of Salesforce security troubleshooting tools, followed by security center introduction and the respective pillars, which are simplify security management, gain visibility for better insights, threat and anomalies detection, followed by security center implementation steps, how you can enable security center in your respective org, a demo, as well as some reference materials which I have used for this presentation. So let's start with the troubleshooting tools. So as we all know, login history is one of the security troubleshooting tools that admin mainly make use of because it helps you to monitor the login attempt. It will also help you to go through which application a user has logged in through, which API version, which TLS version they are using, etc. So that's what you can monitor with the help of login history under the setup page. You also have view setup audit trail, which will help you to monitor the customizations as well as any setup changes that you have done in an org. So view setup audit trail is another troubleshooting tool that we have. Then we have transaction security policy, which is a way better enhanced security policy feature of Salesforce. And it will help you to monitor unauthorized or any malicious events that has happened in a particular Salesforce instance. Followed by event monitoring, which will help to capture all the Salesforce events that happens. And security center product is actually leveraging Salesforce events that is captured in the event monitoring log, which we will touch upon later in this presentation. Now, as you can see, all these troubleshooting tools, these are pretty much org specific. You will be able to troubleshoot only the changes that happens in a particular instance. And this is where Security Center is playing a key role because it helps you to combine all these aspects and helps you to get a single view of all the changes or transaction that has happened across multiple tenants. So that's where the Security Center products has an edge and it's a pretty appealing aspect of it. So let's look at the Security Center introduction. So on the right, it's a screenshot of how the app looks. So when you open Security Center app in a particular instance, you will land on to a dashboard page. It will give you a summary of some of the standard metrics or the default metrics that will show up in the dashboard tab. So as you can see here, you have an authentication by type metrics followed by configuration metrics. So whatever you have see as items on the left side here, configuration, permission, user and threat detection, at a high level, those metrics will be pulled and show in the summary page. So as we understood so far, Security Center helps to easily manage your security aspects across Salesforce instances, right? So its pillars are simplified security management because it helps you to manage your security standards in a multi-org level, and that will boost the admin productivity. And then it will help you to gain visibility for better insights because it will give you a one-stop place, a single view of all the security changes and any policy violations that has happened across all org. And then threat and anomaly detection. And this is where the event monitoring data comes into fore. And AML technology is added on top of the event monitoring data to help Salesforce detect any anomaly activities. So these are the three core pillars that we have. So now with this in place, let's now log into one of the parent org where Security Center is already enabled. So when you log into your org, you might land into a certain home page or maybe in a setup page. Now, for an org where Security Center app is already enabled, it will be available in the app launcher. So when I search for Security Center, it is available here. So as we saw earlier, yeah, dashboard is the tab that opens by default, and you will go through the default metrics that we see here. User metrics, threat detection, and everything will be available here. Now, if we expand each item, right, so under the authentication piece, you will be able to run metrics on who all have followed MFA and OAuth, who all are logging in via MFA username and password, any SSO driven adoption. So all these adoptions can be measured under the authentication section. And when you open configuration section, it will help you to monitor all the connected app, any managed packages that you have installed or not installed, any trusted IP ranges that you have deployed, and here it will look give you a trend, right? So it dipped a bit, and then there has been some trusted IP ranges that got enforced. So all these get captured here, and at the bottom there will be a detailed metrics behind showing you the trend, like what got added, what got removed, what action happened. Here also you will get an option to download this metrics as well as apply a filter, which can be based on the tenant also. Like if you click add filter, you get an option like what all tenant you can apply, and based on the specific filter needs, this report can be customized accordingly. So these are the things that you will be seeing under the configuration. It will touch upon your health check also. So if you click on the security health check, it will give you a dashboard at the top as well as the metrics at the bottom. So if you see here, there are 3 tenant that gets captured along with the tenant ID, and there is a health check score that is mentioned here. And you have a division among them, like how many of them are critical, how many of them are in the warning stage, and how many of them are complaint. So if I open one of them, so these are the factors that Salesforce consider while running the security health check score at the backend. So click check production is one of them, whether HTTP only attribute setting that you see under the session setting is another them. So if you have an expert certificate or not, all these factors are considered while Salesforce evaluates the health check score at the backend. So this particular tenant is actually 74% good as of today. So these are the various things that you can see under the configuration section. Now, if I open permission, that will give you a list of all the admin permissions that you have. So not only the view all, modify all data, which are the core admin permission, there are other critical permissions like other apex, customize application and all, which you really need to get an insight like who got assigned to this permission at one point of time. And hopefully no one got accidentally get assigned to this permission, and only admins or the respective IT team have this permission. So all these kind of better insights and tracking you can do when you click on each of these sections, and the respective metrics will open up. So that's so all the admin permissions is what you will be seeing under the permission section. And then when you click on user, that is mainly on what is the active state of a user, whether they are active or inactive, or whether they are frozen, have they logged in or not, have they never logged in, or they are not using any MFA. All these aspects are covered under the user setting. So you might not see much data, but another thing that you can see here is this dashboard, right? You can actually get a daily metrics. You can also see the totals per tenant. If you have multiple tenant connected to a parent tenant, you can also see a total per tenant kind of a metrics can also be seen under the user section. And then under monitoring is where the threat detection comes into fore. Unfortunately, for today's demo, I will not be able to show the threat detection because it needs a good volume of event monitoring data for the AML to run on top of that. So that is something for DevOps, and for this demo purpose, we will not be able to show it, unfortunately. So otherwise, from an overall security overview, these are the multiple metrics that you can run on the Security Center app. Now, if you just look on the right side, right, there are 3 tabs here. So if you click on connected tenant, you will see a list of tenants that are already connected. You will be also seeing like when they got connected and who did the connection. And there are 2 tabs here. Either you can connect to another production tenant from here or a sandbox tenant. So you have to determine which instance of yours will be treated as a production tenant going forward. So that will be the master from where you will be kind of initiating all the connections to your respective production tenant or child sandbox tenant, so to speak. And then there is an alert setting. So there are 2 alerts which that we see in the screen now. One is the edit read only check. So this is like an alert which will actually give you an email or an in-app notification if anybody had an edit read only permission assigned or not. So that's just a sample. We can actually define our own alert settings accordingly on the condition. And there's another manual login that you have. So this is where the MFA enforcement or tracking can really help when you have such kind of alert settings that gets created. And even if when I click on edit, and when you look at the metrics based on which this alert has to run, you can see a lot of admin related permissions. So you can define your own criteria accordingly. Manage flow permission is there, health check permission, who got assigned what, and if anybody got accidentally assigned, and for which tenant this has to be applied. So all these aspects you can see and define under the alert setting, and then you can activate it accordingly. And then the next piece is security policy, which is one of the cool features because standing from the production tenant or the parent tenant itself, we can actually deploy the security policies across a child tenant. So as you see in the screen, there are a couple of policies that does exist already today. So there is one IP range policy which I have defined already, which is also active. And there is one more policy which I have, which is more of session settings. So you can actually define what is your session setting that you can define for a particular org or across another tenant org. And also you can define your timeout value, whether it is 8 hours, 4 hours, etc. So this at the end is what Security Center app looks like, pretty much. Now let's now go back to our deck, wherein we can now start looking at each of the pillars under the, sorry, just went backwards. So this is where we stayed before we move to the Salesforce instance. Now let's look at the first pillar. Simplify security management. So the screenshot on the right side gives you the pretty high level admin permissions, and the trend chart is also shown when you look at the permissions section over here. So what are the benefits that we get from the simplified security management? So first benefit is the end-to-end visualization, wherein you can see whatever changes that has happened from a single page across all the tenant and take the remediation steps accordingly. So that's the end-to-end visualization for you. You can also help eliminate security blind spots, like if anybody accidentally installed a particular app exchange, or if anybody got assigned an additional view all data permission, because there can be some org where only limited number of users should be assigned a specific core admin permission. But if there is a particular tenant where that policy is not being followed, then those are your blind spots that you might ignore, but it can be spotted from this Security Center app. And then you have improved security performance, because at the end of the day, with all the metrics and insights that the Security Center app is projecting, you can actually attend and monitor and take rectification steps for this and improve your compliance percentage at the end of the day for all the security standards. And then the next pillar is gain visibility for better insights. So edit read only fields is one of the screenshots that you see on the right, where we know like who got assigned at what date this kind of assignment happened. So basically like that, core admin permission assignment and etc. Whenever they get assigned, it will get reflected in this dashboard for better insights and decision making. So one of the benefits are, for example, MFA, right? So these days Salesforce has been enforcing MFA, which is one of the secured way of logging into the system. So MFA enforcements has been a biggest announcement from Salesforce through this year, and through every org, these enforcements have been happening on an org by org basis. So if you are to track your MFA compliance and if your MFA adoption, then Security Center app is one place where you can do that. And then under the configuration metrics, if any malicious app exchange installment and any other activities under configuration can also be tracked so that it gives you the better insights appropriately. And then security health checker also, like we saw earlier, the health check score with the multiple aspects that Salesforce consider, and you also know the final health check score of your org can also be determined and also helps you to decide like what next action you have to take to improve your health check percentage. Then the next one is user permission tracking, like any core admin permissions or any view user permissions assignment can be tracked from Security Center app. Next is a threat and anomalies detection, which is where the event monitoring data is coming into picture. So with the huge event monitoring data that is in our disposal, AML technology running on top of that will really help you to determine or detect any anomalous activities as part of the threat and anomaly detection feature of Security Center app. So the first benefit is unknown threat. If any credential stuffing or session hijacking has happened, a real-time threat can be sent to the user. Investigation of threat can also be done with this feature of Security Center app, and then monitoring threat trend over time. So that is also something that you can do on a day-over-day basis, or maybe what else security threat a particular org got exposed in the last 3 months or last week, etc. So that kind of a trend chart is something you can easily run. And then the currently supported thread that the Security Center app uh, will operate as of today is API anomaly, report anomaly, session hijacking, and credential stuffing. API anomaly, for example, is suppose you have integration set between two applications and it is going pretty smooth, but suddenly there is a spike in the API integration where a huge volume of API integration has happened without notice. Then that is one anomaly event that you can define as an API anomaly and will be detected by this engine. Report anomalies similarly is also where you have your sales makers or sales reps running multiple reports and so far is looking fine. But if there is a report where the filter criteria defined is not valid, pretty broader criteria has been defined, or at the end of the day, someone has run a pretty large report and downloaded a large volume of data. So these kind of uh, uh, unintended activity can be classified as report anomaly. And then we have session hijacking and credential stuffing. So these are the threat and anomalies detection feature that we have. And what I believe is as of winter release, this is also freely available along with the security center. That's what I understood from the winter release notes. And then let's look at the implementation steps, right? So security center license enablement is the first piece. So to my understanding, most of the DevOps has this permission available already. So we just have to enable it either at the profile level or at the permission set level. And the key permission is manage security center permission. So once you have that permission set enabled and assign it to respective user along with the view security center pages. So these two permission, once you add at the permission set level or at the profile level and assign it to the user, then the Security Center app will be visible at the app launcher. That's it. So these two are the key permission, assign it, and the app will be visible. And then the next piece is you have to strategize like which tenant or which org you will be defining as a parent tenant and which org you will be defining as a child tenant, so that a consolidated picture of security policies or violations can be detected. Now, one aspect is you can actually, while you stay at your production tenant, you can connect with another production tenant as well as all the sandbox tenant. But if you're staying in a sandbox tenant, then you can only connect with another sandbox tenant. You cannot connect with a production tenant. So that is something that you have to watch for while you define which product is your or which instance is your parent tenant as well as child tenant. And then you can also deploy security policies from the Security Center app, which we'll be seeing in the demo. So few security policies that you can deploy are trusted IP ranges or session settings or health security sec across multiple tenants. So these are the activities that you can actually do. And these are the steps that you can follow as part of enabling Security Center app in your instance. Now, a couple more gotchas that we have is the Security Center app refreshes its data once per day. So if any activity has happened yesterday, then today it will be reflected in your dashboard. And it will also store 6 months of data, which is where the AML technology will help because it needs good volume of data where it can run the engine and detect the anomaly activities accordingly. Another aspect is this feature is available in Enterprise Performance Developer and Unlimited editions. So with that in case where we have gone through the pillars, the benefits under the Security Center app, as well as we have also gone through the implementation step, let's now look at the demo. So here I will be showing few aspects. Now this is the org that we touched upon earlier and it's a parent org, right? So now let's log into one of our child org and do a connection between the parent tenant as well as the child tenant. So this is one of the child tenant that we have. I'll log in here. So one of the learnings which I had, maybe I don't know whether it's an issue with the dev org or I'm not sure how other orgs are also. While enabling these permissions, right, when I go to the profile level and try to enable these permissions at the system administrator standard profile permission, I was not able to do it. The permissions were actually grayed out. So if I go here and I click on edit, right, because it's a core system or admin permission, when I come here, it's all grayed out. I can't do anything. I can't add or enable it at the profile level, especially for sysadmin. So for that, I ended up creating a permission set. So this is something just validate at your org how it is set up. But this is one of the learnings for me. So here I have already created the security center assignment permission set. And under the system permissions, you will be seeing those permissions getting enabled. So manage security center. So this is enabled. As well as the view security center page permission is also enabled here. And for now, I have actually added this to myself. So we just need one user to be added. So I have added this to myself. And with that in place, if I go to the app launcher and search for security, the app will open up. Okay, so this is the how you enable security center app at a certain org. Now, one aspect that you can actually see here is, so yeah, I mean, like we saw earlier, it's a dashboard page that we'll land upon to. So that's what we see here. Now let's go to a couple of aspects where I'll just show you, like this is an org where you don't have any trusted IP ranges defined. So network access is pretty much blank here. And when I go to the session settings, right, if I come to the session hours, it is 8 hours. So now as part of this demo, what I will do is I'm going to alter these settings. So let me log out of here. Then if I go to the parent org, it will direct me to the setup page if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So now let's, as usual, let's click on the app launcher and go to security center. So here, what we will do now is I'm going to deploy security policies. So we have one is the trusted IP range. So let's first build this connection first. You have to build the connection between the tenant for any kind of deployment to happen across the child tenant. So here I'll click on connect production tenant. So once I do that, the system will actually redirect me to a login page where I have to log in as my child tenant. So this is my child tenant. So I clicked on it. So when I log in, I'll be getting a pop-up where you have to agree to the connection. So as the page loads, I presume yeah, so this page has come. So this is what you will be seeing the child tenant, right? So I click allow. So at the end of this instance and our production instance are now connected. So now it will get me back to the production tenant from where I initiated this activity. So as you can see here, security test is the new tenant that got connected. The timing and who did it is also mentioned here. So since the connection is done successfully, let's now revisit our security policies section and try to deploy these policies to that child tenant. So this is one policy I have. So try trusted IP range. So this is a range. And when I click edit, I get a pop-up where when you scroll down, you can actually determine to which tenant it has to deploy. So I'm going to select this, click next, save and deploy. So that IP range got deployed. So you don't need any package. Earlier we used to go under setup under every org and manually add the IP range, right? Here, I never had any metadata package, anything prepared. It was very seamless. And now when you look at the deployments history, the deployment actually happened for security test, the timing and everything, and the status is also mentioned here. Now let's go similarly, let's go to the second session security policy. And here you have timeout value as 8 hours. So now what I will do is I'll change it back to 4 hours. change it to 4. And then I'm going to click save and deploy. So let's see if it is applicable to the tenant. So you add to the tenant and then you click save and deploy. Done. So this is done. So we have deployed 2 policies now to the child tenant. Now let's log out of this off and then go to the child tenant and see whether these changes has reflected or not. So this is our way we did the deployment. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we'll go to the setup here. And in the setup, we go to network access, got deployed. So that's one of the successful implementation or deployment we have. And now the next setting is session, right? So go to session settings. So earlier it was 8 hours and now it will be 4 hours. So this is how pretty cool you can use Security Center app and deploy all these security policies. It's very seamless, very instant, and you don't need any metadata package for the deployment also. Now, with that in place, let's log out and go back to our parent talk. So as we log into the parent talk, let's go to the Security Center app and look at the metrics because we have implemented 2 policies, right? Let's look at the metrics. Okay. So what we have here is I'll go to configuration of the nav form and transaction security policies, right? Or maybe trusted IP range. We did a trusted IP range now. So there is a uplift. There were like 2 attempts that got deployed today. Earlier it was only 1. Now 2 got deployed. And there is also an update data button. So what we see here is you can also instantly refresh. So earlier in the deck, we saw like the Security Center app actually refreshes the data once per day. But on the contrary, you can also initiate an instant data refresh when you come here and click on the update data. So similarly, if I go to the transaction or maybe security health check, for example, right, this update data will be here. So you click on it, a reevaluation at that given point will be run across all the tenant and the updated metrics will be put. Now, based on the volume of data, it might take some time, but the instant refresh is another capability that you will be seeing under the Security Center app. And then we have transaction security policies also. Now let's do one thing. There's another app which I actually, or policies which I have defined. So this is within the parent org, okay? So within the parent org, let's go to event monitoring, transaction security policy. So this is an existing policy which I have. It's a pretty, just for demo purpose, it's a pretty a simple policy which I have created. We are the condition builder, and the aspect is like email notification. Let's look at the condition also. So this is a condition where I have checked my rows processed, or maybe in other words, rows queried is greater than 5. Then fire this transaction security policy that gets invoked. Now, what I will do is I'll come to sales app. And if I go to accounts, right, yeah. So here in account, you have like multiple customer types, right? 1, 2, 3, it's already 5. So be by a workbench or be by any API tool, when you run an API transaction, then the policy will be invoked. And from a Security Center app standpoint, you can easily come here, go to the Security Center app and run your metrics accordingly. So at the end of the day, I believe now you all understood like how you can make use of the Security Center app. We saw what all metrics you can run under each of the section. We also did a couple of policy deployment demos. We also saw how you can connect another tenant and what all alert settings you can define. Also, you can actually go ahead and do it. And based on the metrics that you can define, the type of alert you want, also you can mention whether it's an in-app alert or email, and select your tenant for which this alert has to be applicable. So that pretty much it is what I have for demo, and the reference materials which I have used are the trailhead content as well as the help guide that we have. So that's it from me. Thank you all. Thanks for joining this session and thanks for this opportunity.